Hi guys, I'm Chef Frank and this is Proto Cooks. And today we are celebrating 10,000 subscribers on Instagram and on YouTube. This isn't going to be a normal video. We're going to answer questions from an Instagram poll that we did, just like general food questions and stuff like that, things you want to know about me. And I'm going to make a cake for us to celebrate tonight. I just want to say thank you to everyone that got me to 10,000. I'm glad you enjoy our videos, and we're trying to work on improving them every week, trying new things. We do take your suggestions, so anytime you write in the comments and you give us suggestions, we love it. Positive, negative, we're always trying to just get better. So my daughter's going to ask us some questions. I will answer them the best I can, and while we're doing that, I'll make my cake so we can celebrate later. Bring on the questions. I'm going to cut the cake while we do this.
Okay. Okay. What plate do you enjoy cooking the most?
That's kind of a loaded question for me. I am constantly changing my favorite things to do. Usually I like doing things that I'm not really good at and I'm not practiced at. So Korean food, Japanese food, Chinese food are three things that I've been working on a lot. Pizza dough I've been working on for years, but I really enjoy making pizza dough. I'm just not great at bread. I always tell people bread is my kryptonite.
What's the cooking misconception you wish you could stamp out of the world?
Cooking misconception. I kind of feel like people throw around the word chef a lot. And I kind of think that people aren't really sure. They don't really know what a chef actually is. Usually a chef, and you can be certified as a chef, but you don't necessarily have to have an education to be a chef. But for the most part, like, you know, if you cook on the weekends, you're really not a chef, you know. Usually chefs are people who cook in restaurants or hotels and have trained for many years. And that's kind of my definition as a chef. You kind of just get that distinction after you've worked many years of hard work and kind of dedication to the craft. So, you know, sometimes when people call, like, you know, oh, my uncle's a chef, I'm like, oh, where do they work? And he's like, oh, no, he just cooks in his backyard, you know. It's like saying, you know, you watch Law and Order and you're a lawyer, you know, like it's, you know, you're a fan of the law and, and you're a lawyer.
How'd you get the name Salt Master?
I got the name Salt Master through my Epicurious videos on epicurious.com. I talk about salt a lot. Salt happens to be one of those things as an ingredient that, as a chef instructor, that I push a lot. People don't season their food enough. So I mention it a lot in my videos, not only on Proto Cooks on YouTube, but also a lot in my classes and on Epicurious videos. So they call me the Salt Master.
Is it really a struggle to be a cook? Like a mental struggle?
Yeah, being a cook in a restaurant is a big struggle, especially a mental struggle. It's a hard industry. It's not something that's easy. And a lot of people see chefs on TV and they kind of like think it's glamorous. And it's not really that glamorous. Most people, you know, this is a hard job. But at the end of the day, it's extremely satisfying. And it's a career that I've enjoyed throughout my career or through my life. And but it's not easy, and it's a mental struggle sometimes as well as a physical struggle. It's a mental struggle just for the fact, like, you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm working so many hours. This is really hard. How am I going to keep this up? You know, this is really the future that I want to have for myself. So it is kind of a struggle sometimes, you know?
What kind of cuisine do you specialize in?
I don't really specialize in any cuisine. I've done a lot of Mediterranean food, some Middle Eastern food, but I don't really, you know, people ask chefs that question all the time, like, what's your specialty? And it's kind of like, a lot of chefs do kind of specialize in something, but a lot of chefs are kind of hard, you know, pressed to give you an answer to that. As far as specialty goes, I just really like, these are the cuisines that I did a lot of in my career. I did a lot of Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, French, Italian. But as far as specialty goes, I don't have a specialty. I like cooking pretty much everything. That's awesome. I'll just cook whatever you can throw in front of me.
Why and when did you decide to be a cook? What was your first meal as a chef?
I decided to be a cook when I was really young. I wanted to be a chef when I was really young. And it's kind of the only thing I can really remember wanting to do, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Because I grew up in the 70s, and, now we're in, it's 2020, so, kids like grow up and aspire to be chefs. Back when I was a kid in the 70s, it really wasn't a career path that was like, I guess, and I don't know if anyone ever thought, and I don't know if anyone thought it was a great career path to go into. But I've always wanted to be a chef, even since I was a kid. The first thing I cooked solo was I cooked dinner with my sister, who was a year older than me, and I made Bako bit soup. So basically, it was just salty water with Bako bits floating in it, and it was absolutely disgusting. And I think my sister put like a full pound of chopped meat into a pan and just browned it. And I don't even know if she browned it. It probably was like kind of boiled. So it really wasn't a good dinner. But the first thing that I remember cooking that was really good was I made coq au vin from Julia Child's cookbook. Julia Child was big in the 70s and 80s, and I made a chicken and red wine, and it took me hours and hours. It turned out pretty good. I think I was 13 or 14. It turned out good, but it was like a 3-page recipe, and some of the ingredients we couldn't find and stuff like that, but it was pretty good.
How hard was it for you to get into the Culinary Institute?
It really wasn't that hard to get into the culinary. I went to the Culinary Institute I graduated in 94. You had to have some cooking experience, but it wasn't like it was now. Like right now, it's like they have a bachelor's program. They didn't have a bachelor's program when I was there. And it wasn't extremely difficult to get in when I went. I did have some restaurant and catering experience, which I'm sure helped me get in. But for the most part, I don't remember it being all that hard, And I went for a 2-year program, for a 2-year degree. I don't remember it being really all that difficult.
Like, how do you find inspiration for new recipes?
I always, there's an American artist, his name is Chuck Close, and he talks about inspiration, right? And he's kind of down on inspiration. He doesn't really believe in inspiration. He believes in working. Like, the more you do what you do, the more you kind of get creative with it. And I kind of agree with that, You can't just sit around and expect for the inspiration for a great dish to come to mind. As you cook, as you read about food, as you eat, that's what kind of gives you ideas and quote-unquote inspiration for dishes. So I just like to read about food. I'm constantly thinking about food. It's just part of my makeup, and that's what kind of gets me going for all these new dishes.
What's your favorite method for making eggs? Examples, poached, scrambled.
My favorite method for making eggs, I really like an over-easy egg. Super simple, lots of butter, salt and pepper.
This one's not food related, but
okay.
Any horror stories?
Oh, it is a food related. I'll tell you.
Any kitchen horror stories?
Yeah, kitchen horror stories, totally. There's plenty of them. And not necessarily to me, like I don't know if it's something that happened to me. One time someone put their foot in a whole pot of fryer oil that we had just emptied out. It was so scary.
Wait, in a kitchen you worked at?
In a kitchen I worked at. One of my cooks did that. I was like so scared. I've cut myself, burned myself so many times. I've had nights where, we had 150 seats in the restaurant. We've done 800 covers. That's an absolute horror story. Like at that point, the food you're putting out is kind of like, is this good enough to give people? Like as far as like the quality of the food. Oh my gosh, I've been cut and burned so many times that it's like, I'm sure I don't really have that many horror stories. Like, I remember once I worked in a restaurant and the restaurant burned down overnight. That was pretty horrible. I was working in Manhattan with my former chef, Mark Murphy, and I got a call in the middle of the night and our restaurant that we were building burnt down, which was pretty horrible. It was very close to opening, so that was pretty bad.
How can I know if the olive oil I buy is good quality?
Well, if you've bought it before and you like the flavor, then, it's good quality. Olive oil is one of these things, and I always tell my students that olive oil is kind of like, one of the shady ingredients, you know, in the world because, you know, the qualifications of it are really hard to kind of understand. Extra virgin is probably the best quality olive oil, but then, you know, is it from Italy? Is it mixed from different countries? You know, so I think if you find something that you like the flavor of, then keep that. That's the one you should use, you know. It always comes down to taste for me, you know, and definitely expense. But for the most part, if you like the olive oil and it tastes good, that's the one you should use.
Frank, I love your videos. My question is, how can you elevate a simple chicken breast?
The biggest thing with chicken breast that I find, especially people who cook a lot of chicken breasts, is they overcook it and it's dry. That's what's wrong with most chicken breasts out there. It's overcooked and it's dry, okay? Cook it less so that it's still moist and juicy. I made chicken breast the other day on the grill and I was really happy with the way they came out because we didn't overcook them. So it's not necessarily a recipe I have because, you know, people always ask chefs about recipes. It's more about technique. Cook it a little bit less so you have a nice juicy product at the end. Pasta carbonara, pancetta or guanciale. I've used both. I do like pancetta in it, even though it's not really true to the dish. Guanciale is what's really meant for carbonara, but I've even used bacon before. The bacon's a little smoky and it's not true to form, but like it still works.
How to cut like a chef.
How to cut like a chef. Practice, practice, practice. You got to continue to practice. The only way that you get good at this is if you practice. Okay?
What's a substitute for cooking wine? Red wine, white wine, for cooking purposes?
Don't buy cooking wine. Just buy some reasonably priced red or white wine. It all depends on the meal you're making, right? I don't buy cooking wine just because usually it's expensive, comes in small bottles. I just find wine that I think tastes okay, and I'll buy a box of it. And I always find that box wine stays good for a long time. So you don't really need to buy cooking wine. White, red, depending on what you're cooking, just buy regular wine at the store.
How did you begin your career with Epicurious?
My career with Epicurious came about a little over a year. And I work at the Institute of Culinary Education, which is the school that I teach at. It's a culinary school in Lower Manhattan, and they are awesome. My students are awesome. And our PR marketing department just came to me and said, hey, you want to film a video doing spaghetti and meatballs? I'm like, absolutely. I love doing videos. And that's what started me off with Epicurious. And then the support of everyone out there is what kind of kept me going on Epicurious and drove me to start doing, my own videos.
Which single-use gadgets are worth it and which are not?
Single-use gadgets. I'm a big fan of Alton Brown. I'm not a food TV fan, but I think he puts out quality stuff. And he calls those things unitaskers, and I agree with him 100%. Like avocado knives and shrimp deveiners and stuff like that. I don't really think there's that many good single-use things. I kind of tell everyone this. Get a good paring knife, get a good chef knife, get a good boning knife, and like a bread knife. And you pretty much have all the equipment you need to cut things. You don't really need a lot of one-off specialty items.
Do you have any chefs that you look up to or look for inspiration?
Well, my mentor is this guy, Joey Fortunato. He owns a restaurant called Extra Virgin in Lower Manhattan. I've been friends with him, and he's been my mentor for many years. I really don't look to chefs for inspiration, but I do admire a lot. I mean, Jacques Pepin lives up by us. I loved all of his TV series. Julia Child was amazing. I watched her a lot on PBS, so I watched a lot of public television TV shows. So those to name a few. But for the most part, I just love to see people that enjoy their craft and really kind of put themselves out there with it. Okay, guys, our cake is done. 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm going to continue making videos, putting out content for you guys. I'm so happy about this. So in order to commemorate this, I'm doing a giveaway. I should have teased that in the beginning, but I didn't. you watch the video, you know about the giveaway. 4 people will get a t-shirt that I've made, okay? I'm gonna give you the stipulations in a minute, but the t-shirt says needs salt. I made the block print that I stamp onto these shirts with like fabric paint made by Speedball. It says needs salt. I have it in white and green. I can't guarantee anyone's gonna get the color they exactly want, but I've been making these t-shirts for a few years. These are all handmade. They're Hanes t-shirts, they're great. And in order to kind of get your name in there for the giveaway is gonna end on May 29th, which is Friday. 4 people are gonna be chosen at total random. And here are the rules. The rules are, you have to be a subscriber to my channel. You have to give this video a thumbs up. And I want you to comment, just give me a quick story about the best thing you've ever eaten or the best thing you ever cooked. And it's only gonna be open for the US, guys. US only. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm glad that you got us to 10,000 subscribers. I hope that you continue to enjoy our content. I'm Chef Frank. This is Proto Cooks. Have a great day.